Uh-huh.
Okay, we're live. Hello, Enolia. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much, Stefania, for having me. How
Oh,
wonderful it is to be here with you.
well, thank you. Thank you for coming on this live with me. We had a bit of problems with the actual Facebook live, so we're actually recording it on Zoom. So our listeners and audience will get it a little bit delayed, but it'll be just like a live, right?
Yes.
So this evening, I wanted to bring you on and have a little bit of an organic conversation, just simply because, a lot of my, um, people know me as, Stefania Puglio from the Gentleman's Square, and I'm a men's love and relationship coach. But I also have a lot of ladies that actually are asking me quite a lot of questions and about relationships and, you know, things pertaining to women, and of course going back to relationships. And I thought that we would just, get together as like we normally do, and converse and throw ideas and possibly share um, what we do. But the idea was actually to yeah, have my audience actually get to know you a little bit, and I guess myself, you're introducing me to your audience as well. It'll just circulate, I guess. But um,
Yes.
I thought, um, if you would like to just you know tell us what you actually do, and your journey, um, I'd love to hear it again.
Oh, thank you so much. My journey, wow. Well, I worked for a Fortune 500 company for 20 plus years. So, my background in terms of coaching and having a really dynamic conversation to promote growth and to allow people to break through the challenges that they are facing and the circumstances of life is really, really strong. I've had about 25 years of practice.
Wow.
So when I left corporate, I basically wanted to work with my strength. And so I have taken that and actually created workshops, coaching,
Hmm.
keynote speaking. And pre pandemic, it was retreats and expeditions. But now that we're kind of within the pandemic, I work online a great deal. So I like to motivate, to inspire, to help break through the challenges, to have the frank conversation, and to bring forward a new perspective when it comes to relationships and when it comes to our own internal growth. And my focus has been with women, although I do have that conversation with men. But in order for us to complement each other, I think it's just phenomenal that I met you,
Thank you.
because listening to that dynamic from the male perspective and bringing forward that dynamic from the female perspective, what a beautiful compliment. And I think you have to share a little bit about what you do in your story too, so people really understand the balance that is taking place here, because it's such a beautiful balance.
Okay, well, thank you, Enolia, for sharing. Okay, well, I'll share a little bit about myself. As I said before, I'm a men's love and relationship coach, and a lot of people, the million-dollar question that I get asked all the time is, how did you get involved in this? But what I actually do, and this is what I explain, is I help men attract, a value matched woman, a, high quality woman, or what they consider to be high quality for them, to understand her psychology and how she thinks, and understand female energy, and then also keep her. keep her in an ignited, I'd say, in an ignited, sexy, passionate, loving relationship. And it has been quite a journey. So I, really like to emphasize that I bring to men the female perspective of how they are feeling. Because sometimes, for men, it's a little bit hard because, they're often caught up in that male, psyche of understanding women through that male, interpretation. And what happens is they forget
Mm-hmm.
there's female energy. And, we've all got a balance of female and male energy in us, like the yin and the yang. But, sometimes
That's
men can
right.
get too caught up in that, you know, logical male mindset that they forget to tap into that, female energy. Because, of course, to understand a woman, and connect with her, I should say, to connect with a woman, you really need to understand her. And I always bring, the analogy of a car, because
Yes.
a car is, very, men can relate to cars. And if they're, in a new car, or they're exploring, you know, a new car, they got to know all the ins and outs and all the buttons and how they work and how fast she can go and how to put the brakes on and everything. A bit like a woman
Mm-hmm.
having to know how to, I guess, ride her, or drive her, as metaphorically speaking. But yeah, that's what I kind of bring to the table. I don't obviously try and tell men how they feel, because obviously biologically I'm not a man, but I do bring to them this perspective, the female perspective. So yeah, and I do it through one-on-one coaching, a little bit of group coaching, and I haven't yet done the events, but hopefully down the road I will do so. So at the moment, it's more online, and I'm really enjoying it. And I must say, I'm really grateful to have met you and connected with you, that we can, come together and bring some, something, dynamic,
Yes.
a dynamic, galactical, whatever you want to call it, to our viewers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Enolia, you're an American living in Africa. And when I first connected with you, that was,
Yes.
really intriguing for me, and what really inspired me to, really keep our conversations going. And I think something that we have in common is, you've traveled a lot. Yes. And I've traveled a lot
Yes. Very much
extensively.
so.
Right. So we have both coming from a Western sort of, grown up on a Western culture, but yet we've traveled around the world and mingled with, East Europe. And, I've done quite a bit of the Caribbean as well. So having that, I guess, as a bit of a portfolio, I think we're able to understand culturally, the, I guess, dynamics of relationships. And
Yes.
I think that's what I'd like to really talk about tonight, I think, because that's something that you have definitely experienced, and I have, because we've lived in, different cultures. We've moved around. We're a bit nomads, I guess. I don't know whether you call it that, but we're free spirits, and we
Yes.
tend to travel and
Mm-hmm.
experience, and then bring our experience to that experience as well. So on that note, please
Yeah.
tell us again a little bit of your journey and how you've ended up in Africa, of all
So,
places.
yes. Well, actually, the journey is just where spirit calls me. So I've traveled, yes, all over the world. The South Pacific, South America, Europe, Africa. I haven't had the good fortune of spending a great deal of time in Asia. That would be the next target. But it doesn't matter where you are in the world, culture plays a big role in relationship. because what is a signal and a show of great respect in one culture can be a show of disrespect in another. And the belief systems are shaped around our cultures and where we've come. So if you haven't been exposed to other cultures and you haven't been exposed to other belief systems, then you're not quite sure how to handle and take statements, dynamics, actions, phrases, all of those things that come when you come from a different culture. Even as basic as sense of family,
Absolutely.
where certain cultures have a stronger sense of family and other cultures don't have a sense of family at all. So these particulars play a great role in our lives. It's how we see life. It's how we see our potential partners. And it's the ideals that come with that belief system about how our partner should be and how they should behave and how they should respond. And when it doesn't fall in line of what we see through the eyes of culture, we're thrown off. We're insulted. We're like, I don't get this. How could that response be that way? But sometimes these things are just gaps in understanding and knowing.
Absolutely.
So these play a big role in our lives. Culture is huge, and every culture varies drastically. And it's been my experience that to become the observer is to understand the culture.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think too, this is really important because what I found through my travels, and also I think too, the world has just become so connected that, you know, um, people are coming together from different parts of the world so quickly and so easy now,
Hmm.
particularly through internet and a lot of the social media apps, and people are connecting, and there are relationships that are actually starting and happened, and people have successfully connected and are together, where they've worked out a way from one side of the world and to the other side, but yet have come together, and then of course had to put all that to play to actually
Hmm.
have a successful relationship culturally, understand religion, maybe political views in some cases, spirituality, understanding of all those dynamics. So um,
Yes.
I know that I have, definitely been an observer because, having traveled so much, and I guess too, also with experience too, because I have had, relationships where I have, you know, um, been with men of a total different culture, and
Hmm.
their viewpoint or their perspective of what a female in their eyes, what a woman should be or should act, or should fit in their so-called little compartments, because not all men, but let's say men love putting things into compartments,
Yes.
logistically, because they're so logical. So how have you found it, obviously with your travels, with the women that you've coached, with this, how's it all played out? Like, obviously, I know with men there has been, some interesting, let's say, uh, coaching uh, subjects, or whatever you want to call it. I've kind of gone blank with my
Yes.
world, but you know what I mean.
Yes, I do. I do. So, we can span the world. How the Western woman is raised and in her belief system is so in opposition of how many parts of the world, look at the role of what it is to be a woman. and how it is to be a woman and how a woman is defined. In many other parts of the world outside of the United States, let's say, or, maybe in Australia, this claims to be true too, but cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children,
Mm-hmm.
these are definitive roles that define that this is going to be a woman that is potentially uh, 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 able to be married, able to be sought out, for that long-term relationship. And if she does not do those things, that's like a no-no. Those things have to be inherent. Those are defining of that woman, because in other parts of the world, those pieces are initiations. They are the quality that makes you appealing. How well you cook, how well you take care of the home, how well you raise the children, how well you are able to take direction. Whereas in the Western world, we don't think like that, none whatsoever. So, how well I cook, clean, or it does not define who I am. My intelligence defines who I am. My success defines who I am, which is as I gain or glean my education, how I utilize and leverage that education to be able to stand on my own 2 feet defines who I am. So those cultural differences are dramatically different, drastically different. And in other parts of the world, having children define being a woman. And in the Western culture, does not.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've realized
So
that as well.
when you are connected with a male from the opposite, from an opposite position in culture, the two criterias that you're trying to bring together as to this is what makes me appealing, a Western woman. I'm intelligent. I have my own business. I do this. I do that. I can, clean the house, but run a business at the same time. And by the way, my business is my priority, not cleaning the house. That's just a byproduct of what just needs to get done. Or I can even hire that out. You know, is appealing in some men's eyes and not. And maybe you can speak a little bit more to that coming from different cultures.
Yes, absolutely. I found that as well, as far as you know, the cultures and men in certain cultures where, I lived. For those of you that don't know, I actually lived in Italy for 7 years, in the southern part of Italy, Sicily, and
Mhm.
I come from an Italian Sicilian background, but of course in Australia. So I grew up in Australia. My parents are, quite Sicilian, but over the years have, I guess we say Australianized, become more Australianized. Like I guess some, Italians that have lived in America or England, after so many years, they tend to, change shape. So going back to Italy, because I went on an adventure and ended up there and decided to live there, I really got to see the Italian male, particularly the Sicilian male in, Italy. And, they're very, their dominance and their, I guess, control, and this whole image of what you're talking about, the female, being a good, cook, um, cleaner, be able to look after the children, and in some cases cook, clean, what, and have a business. It's like this responsibility is just really unloaded on the woman. Whereas on the Western world, we have, where men are sharing roles, they're more understanding of where the woman is, and giving her the respect and the space, and, of being able to still have a business, or, be corporate, working and raising a family. So it's like a joint type of partnership in that respect. But in places like, we talk about Italy, I'm not sure about Africa, but I
Africa?
know
Oh, yes,
Africa.
Africa. That's a
Okay,
rite of passage.
you're right. Okay,
That, yeah, if you don't cook and you don't clean and you don't favor having children, it's like, well, what's wrong with you?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
Like,
definitively a
and
rite of
also,
passage there.
what's your purpose of being a woman, so to speak? I kind of get that impression as well, that some men, Arabs as well. I know I haven't lived over in the Middle East at all, but I have come encounter, particularly in Australia, we have a lot of Arabs. So this is very strong. But what's really funny, okay, because working with a lot of men, and of course I help them attract their ideal woman or a value matched woman. And of course, when I'm speaking to these men, we break it down what it is that they're actually looking for, what type of woman. And there's a large percentage, growing, of men that are looking, that are from the Middle East, or from Africa, or not Western countries, but are after a Western woman. Okay. And
Mm,
what I've found is, they're actually struggling a little bit because, they're struggling with understanding the Western type woman. They're not your typical woman that they would be interacting with, from wherever they come from, whether it be Middle East or Africa, or in some cases, some parts of Europe. So that's where I have really, been able to, for those that are open to it, to, widen their horizons and understand, and be able then to connect with, women, Western women. Because what I found too, I'm not sure whether you agree with me, whether they're African women, or whether they're European women, or whether they're Middle East, the woman is changing her way of thinking. Would you agree? Like,
yes.
they're growing, they're developing, they're being enlightened. The world is becoming more connected, so they can actually see and interact with more Western type women. So they think, well, hey, we kind of like this lifestyle that you have. We want to embody it. We want to, introduce it into our lives. And that's where there's a little bit of clash happening. And I can see it amongst the men, even with their own women. It's like there's this awakening of women. And it's not this, feminist act. I wouldn't call it that. It's just simply women are starting to, expand. Would you say? I don't know. That's how I kind of see it.
We absolutely are. And I have to say that we're looking to expand from all over the world, because I've come across pockets of women where, yes, that was the rite of passage, let's say in Africa. Yes, the woman has this role, but the woman is starting to say, we are more than our bodies. We are more than our physical bodies. We are more than what we do in terms of cleaning and cooking and everything. We have wisdom. We want our wisdom to be acknowledged. We want to be taught. We want to be taught because the role that has been set aside for us doesn't feel good anymore. We want more than that role. We want more than that perception of how you see us. And it's those men who are there in different cultures, go to the Western world, they see the Western woman, but may feel that it's extreme, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it might be extreme in their eyes, so they're having a hard time to adapt, because you know um, the Western woman's not going to hold her tongue. The Western
Absolutely.
woman's going to let you know how she feels,
Hmm.
you know and that's how we've been brought. We can speak our truth, stand in our truth, be our truth, and frankly let everybody know how we feel, without and we don't want the repercussions of saying, well, it's wrong for us to stand in our truth. We want to be able to have a supportive relationship and know that we are supported as we bring ideas to the relationship, as we cultivate activities, whether it's our business or whatever the case may be outside of the relationship. We want to be able to share what it is that makes us happy. And sometimes men aren't interested,
Mm.
you know, and It's not that you have to be submersively interested in all that we do, but we want you to meet us halfway. Enjoy some of the things that we like. It doesn't have to be everything, because we tend to do the other opposite way, which is enjoy some of the things you like because we care about men. We care about you, you know? So it's interesting what is defined as meeting halfway. And
Mm,
maybe that's where we could talk about is that what does it mean on the opposite sides of the sex to meet in balance halfway in a relationship? Because for us as women, we're because we're caregivers, because we have the capacity to give care to our children, we tend to understand that there are, we can call it sacrifices, but we can also call it just meeting halfway. That it's understandable that we have to meet halfway because there are things that need to be taken care of, nurtured, you know, whatever the case may be, in order to keep a balanced and happy household or a happy relationship. And we understand that, so we move forward and we'll go, okay, well, I'll do this, even though it's really not my favorite thing to do, but it makes them happy, you
mm,
know? But there's a balance with that. We want to see the reciprocation of that. And a lot of times it's not there.
mm. Okay.
It's not there.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that's a really good point. And I think it's a really good question that we could actually put out there for our viewers. What, um, how do they define that halfway point? Because, you know, obviously women are going to have their view and men are going to have their view. And that's what we want to encourage. We want to hear both sides, right, Enolia?
Yes.
We want to hear
Yes,
both.
absolutely. Let's
And
have the conversation in the
conversation.
open.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I would like to say, I'm not sure whether you agree, you know, there's no right or wrong. You know what I mean? It's just your own personal opinion of what halfway is. And I think that's the beauty of it. And that's what we've just really got to respect, because everybody does have a different viewpoint. And that's what makes it work too. You know, once we can accept what people are saying, doesn't mean we, you know, have to agree with them. You know, we can just appreciate their sharing, right?
Right. And I think that that's key, because the definition I just gave was the Western woman's definition. That may not necessarily be the same definition for the East. Some people are very comfortable in certain roles and they just want a little bit more, you know? Like instead of saying, here's the money that you have every week, you know, go get what you need for the house, it's teach me how to budget and work with money.
Mm,
And I will go do that. And that might be the person, that might be the woman who's comfortable in that role. And this is my job. And there's beauty in that too.
yeah.
But wants more within that. So where is the balance? Where is standing side by side? And by the way, don't feel threatened that I want this knowledge. It's okay, you know,
Yeah.
because that gives me a more understanding of how much pressure you're under as a man, because I now understand that when I'm demanding this, it impacts you this way. I now understand about budgets. I now understand about um, some of the most simplistic things that some women don't have the knowledge of.
Mm, mm. And I think that's a really valid point. And, you know, as I say to my men, don't fear it. Don't be intimidated by it. Embrace it. Because when, you know, man and woman can come in together and unite their forces, because, you know, in a relationship, I always believe there's always going to be, you know, one party that is stronger in some things in life, and, you know, and then the other may be a little bit less. And whereas where one's lacking another area, the other, you know, partner is
Exactly.
picking up the, you know, the pieces. So when that happens, you're actually got a really nice balance and blend. And I call it a bit like the puzzle kind of fits together. So, you know, really trusting that and trusting the unity that you have with your other half, rather than feeling intimidated, rather than feeling
Yes.
inferior, rather than feeling victim, all those things that come to play just simply because of fear. So I always say, throw a little bit more love, just throw a little bit more love into it, and love will just break that fear down. So
Yes.
that's
And I think
key.
that that is such an important point, because control is based on fear of something happening, that you can't make it happen a certain way. And so why is it necessary to be controlling in the relationship versus partnering in the relationship?
Mm.
And we could go on for hours and hours and hours. I won't go too deep into that. We'll save some for the other episodes. But
Absolutely.
I think it's beautiful to have this conversation, and
Yeah,
let's just keep having it.
I think
Let's
so.
have it for our
Yeah.
viewers.
Yes.
And we invite the viewers to come and give their opinions and share about even their thoughts about what's been said so far, and if it's touching any points, and if there are any specifics that they'd love us to go into, because there's a lot of that out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was just going to say the same thing for all you people out there that have joined us and are listening in on this recording with myself and Enolia. Please, drop us a line. And let us know your thoughts. And if you have any questions, if you have any topics, any areas that you would like us to discuss, please do so, because we want to know what's triggering you out there, so we can actually go deeper and hopefully help you out with some of our conversations that we're having. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Well, and
Absolutely. I
Anolia,
think it's wonderful.
just tell everyone about how they can reach you, and then I'll tell them how they can reach me.
Yes, I can be reached on Facebook. It is Enolia Foti, or just Enolia. You'll see me both. And on LinkedIn, I'm under Enolia Empowers. And on my website, it is www.enolia.live, and that's Enolia. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram. And again, if you research under Enolia, it is the same picture under each one, so you'll be able to identify me.
Mm-hmm.
And I do respond, and I do life coaching, and I do group coaching. So I welcome you to contact me.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you. And with myself, you can reach me at thegentlemansquare.com. Okay. As in gentleman, plural, MEN, not man. And I am contactable via info@thegentlemansquare.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and of course, Facebook. So I'm on those social media. And also, I want to just let everyone know that I do have a new ebook that I just released, and it's called Master the Language of Attraction. Yes, and it's a downloadable, so you can go to my website at www.thegentlemansquare.com and get yourself a copy. It's only 99 cents. I've actually put a price to it because I'm actually, 99 cents totally 100% goes towards a charity, which I'm yet to pick, to help those in need. Yes, so it's not a lot, but worthwhile getting, because it tells you, it gives you 9 ways to make juicier connections with women. Yes. All right. So Enolia, thank you so much. Thank you for everyone listening in. And we're going to keep these conversations going. We're kind of yet to put a title to them, because this is like really our first one, isn't it, Enolia? Just having a little.
It's our first one, and maybe it's the women speak to the gentleman's square. I don't know,
Yeah,
but it sounds It sounds fantastic to have these juicy conversations, and please, I want to hear the male's perspective also. I want to hear from the women too,
Mhm.
to say, okay, oh, you're defining me, that's me, how do I what better? What is it that you want to break through? What are the challenges that you're facing? It's so important to have that conversation.
Mm, mm. Exactly. In any area. It doesn't just have to be cultural, just because we've spoken about cultural relationships,
Any area.
any area at all. All right. Well, thank you once again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Enolia. And
Thank you.
we'll catch everyone in our next live or our next episode. Let's call it episode. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. With love
All
and
right.
passion. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.